A 21-year-old girl from a country that doesn't even have a single professional tennis tournament just spent 1 week beating an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, and a 4-time Grand Slam champion, and right now, as you're watching this, she is standing closer to a WTA title than any Filipino athlete in history has ever stood in this sport, and the match to decide it is not even finished yet. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because there is a detail near the end of this story, something happening on a rain-soaked court in Washington, D.C. at this exact moment, that changes everything about how this run gets remembered, and if you leave early, you're going to miss it completely. Before that, if underdog stories like this one are the reason you're on this channel, do something for me. Hit subscribe right now. Stories like this don't get picked up by the big networks until they're already over, and by then you've missed the part that actually made it worth watching. If you want to be in the room for the next one instead of hearing about it 3 days late, subscribe now, because that's exactly what this channel exists to do. Now here's how we got here. Alexandra Eala arrived at the 2026 Mubadala DC Open ranked 28th in the world. Unseeded. A career-high ranking she had earned less than 3 weeks earlier. She was not on the tournament's promotional posters. She was not part of the pre-tournament marketing plan that had already sold the event to near full capacity on the strength of 5 top 10 players and 4 Grand Slam champions. By the time she was done with the first 4 rounds, none of that mattered anymore. Her opening match was personal. She faced Jing Qinwen, the reigning Olympic gold medalist, a player who had beaten her at the 2023 Asian Games and left her with one of the more painful losses of her young career. This time, Eala dropped the first set, fought her way back, and closed it out 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. Local reporters covering the match that night described the crowd around her as the loudest the tournament had seen all week. That's not fan hype talking. That's a reporter, sitting courtside, writing down exactly what he saw. Round 2 brought the defending champion, Leylah Fernandez, the woman whose face was literally on the tournament's own marketing as the player coming back to protect her title. Eala took the first set comfortably, 6-2, then survived a serious scare in the second, saving the match before closing it out in a tiebreak, 7-6. One more marquee name, gone. The quarterfinal was where the story stopped looking like a coincidence and started looking like a pattern. Her opponent was Alina Svitolina, world number 10, the tournament's second seed. Eala had already beaten Svitolina in Berlin 5 weeks earlier by exactly the same scoreline she was about to produce again. 6-3, 6-4. Same numbers. Different country, different surface. That's not a hot streak. That's a matchup she has genuinely solved. Then came the moment nobody's ticketing plan accounted for. The semi-final put her across the net from Naomi Osaka, a 4-time Grand Slam champion and former world number 1, someone Eala had never faced before in her career. Betting markets had Osaka as the clear favorite. Eala didn't just beat her. She dismantled her, 6-4, 6-2, breaking Osaka's serve 4 times and winning 71% of her first serve points in a match that lasted barely over an hour. Think about what that actually means. A player who wasn't even mentioned in the tournament's pre-event coverage had just eliminated a 4-time major champion to reach her first ever WTA 500 final. That win alone already guaranteed her something remarkable. Regardless of what happens next, Alexandra Eala is set to become the highest-ranked Filipino singles player in tennis history, climbing into the world's top 25 for the first time in her career. Waiting for her in the final was Jessica Pegula, world number 3, the tournament's top seed, a former US Open finalist with 11 WTA singles titles already to her name. This wasn't a new rivalry. Pegula had ended Eala's breakthrough run at the 2025 Miami Open in a brutal 3-set semi-final, the match that first introduced Eala to a global audience. This was the rematch, and the stakes had never been higher for either of them. The final should have started at noon on Sunday. Instead, it started 3 hours late because of thunderstorms rolling through Washington. When it finally began, Pegula came out sharp and controlled, breaking Eala's serve twice to close out the first set 6-4. Eala answered immediately in the second, holding her opening service games to push ahead 2-1. And then the sky opened up again. Lightning forced the players off the court, and after roughly 8 hours of delays across the day, tournament organizers made the only call they could. The match was suspended. Not finished. Suspended, with Pegula still leading a set and a break, and Eala serving to stay within reach in the second. That match resumes today. Right now, as far as anyone watching this knows, nobody in the world can tell you who is going to walk away with this title, because the match literally has not been completed yet. And here's why that unfinished scoreline matters so much more than it might look like on paper. If Eala finds a way back into this final and wins it, she becomes the first Filipino tennis player in history to win a WTA 500 singles title, on top of already guaranteeing herself a spot inside the world's top 25. If Pegula closes it out instead, she picks up her 12th career WTA title and her second championship in Washington specifically, 7 years after her first one at this exact tournament. Either way, the story that gets written after today looks completely different depending on which way that second set breaks. There's something bigger sitting underneath all of this too. The Philippines does not host a single ATP or WTA tour level event. The only way that country's massive tennis fanbase connects with the sport at this level is through moments exactly like this one, a player from a market the tour calendar doesn't visit, pulling a sold-out American stadium's attention in a direction nobody built the marketing plan around. Standard and Premier tickets for the semi-final and final at this tournament sold out within days once her run became impossible to ignore. That's not just a great sports story. That's a demand curve shifting in real time because of one player. None of this was ever guaranteed to happen, either. Just 3 weeks before Washington, Eala lost in the 4th round at Wimbledon to Jasmine Paolini, ending what had been the deepest Grand Slam run of her career. She flew almost directly from London to Washington with barely any time to reset, and in her very first match of this tournament, she nearly didn't survive the first round at all, dropping a set before clawing her way back. If one point goes differently in that opening match, none of what came after happens. No win over the defending champion. No statement win over Osaka. No shot at history in this final. The entire run has been sitting on a razor's edge from the very first afternoon, and it very nearly wasn't a story at all. So here's exactly where things stand as you're watching this. A rain-suspended championship final, frozen mid-match, with the outcome genuinely unknown. A 21-year-old unseeded player who has already guaranteed herself a career-high ranking regardless of what happens next, sitting one set away from either the biggest title of her life or a heartbreakingly close finish against a player who has beaten her before. Whichever way it goes, the seat at that final was never handed to her. She took it, match by match, against 4 of the toughest opponents this tournament could put in front of her. The moment that final actually finishes, and it decides whether this becomes a historic first title or a narrow near-miss, that result is going straight into the next video on this channel. Subscribe now so you're not the last person on the internet to find out how this one actually ends, because right now, nobody watching this knows the answer yet, not even the players.